Good evening and welcome to Slam the Gavel, the show that tells all regarding family court, other court issues, as well as CPS. I am your host, Marianne Petrie. This episode of Slam the Gavel is sponsored by CPS Protect Consulting Services. Child Protective Services cases are among the most frightening experiences any parent can endure. Don't face them alone. With urgent assist by CPS Protect, you get the peace of mind to raise your children as you see fit, and the personalized assistance of their team of expert child welfare consultants, former CPS investigators themselves, right when you need it. Get started absolutely free at cpsprotect.com/register, and you can find this in all 50 states. And go to the site, pleasedoyourjob.com. We need 2,000 more signatures to get a case reopened. That's pleasedoyourjob.com. I have a brand new guest on. I have Kia Walker on. She's a grandmother involved in a high-profile case regarding her granddaughter. So I welcome you to Slam the Gavel, Kia. How are you doing this morning?
Good, thank you.
Glad to have you on. How did all this happen to your family?
Well, it all started out, my son, Tommy Schaefer, and his then pregnant girlfriend, Heather Mack,
Mhm.
were found, were arrested and were charged in connection with Heather Mack's mother, murdering her and stuffing her in a suitcase.
And this took place in Indonesia?
Yes, Bali, Indonesia.
And so how did he end up over there? Did she invite him over there, or how
Yes.
did
Heather and her mother were on vacation in Bali, Indonesia, and she paid for my son a ticket to join her in Indonesia.
and then I guess they were imprisoned, and she had this baby while in prison.
Exactly. She gave birth to a baby girl. First of all, let's backtrack just a little bit. Um, I After they were arrested, about 2 weeks later, um, I was watching the news and it said that Heather was pregnant. And it took another 2 weeks for me to even fathom that I could be a grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
So I had no idea. But yes, she gave birth to a baby girl on my birthday.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's how this nightmare began.
Oh. Now, we had talked earlier on the phone several days ago, and it was such a pleasure to meet you. Apparently, after this baby was born, they sent the baby back to the prison in Indonesia for 2 years.
Yes, I flew to Indonesia on March 17th, 2015, and hours later, my granddaughter was born. I stayed with her in the hospital for about a week, and then she was taken straight to prison
Unreal.
in a third world country, drug-riddled, um, dirty, nasty prison.
This is a nightmare. You have been living a complete nightmare. Do you know how do they handle babies in prison? I don't get it.
Uh, it was such a horrifying situation. I tried my best to bring my granddaughter back to America, but because grandparents, we don't have any rights.
Mm-hmm.
We are very limited. The court system failed my granddaughter, me and my granddaughter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's most definitely because she did suffer abuse while imprisoned, suffering
Yeah.
out a term with her mother.
My granddaughter was released from prison when she was 2 years old, and then a straggler in the road became her foster mother. And her foster mother works for the Indonesian police.
So she was just wandering the streets and this foster mother came along.
Well, I guess I'm being a little sarcastic,
Okay.
saying someone
Yeah.
that, Heather Mack didn't really know. Heather Mack chose this woman to care for my granddaughter rather than allow grandma to bring her to
Oh.
America in a safe zone.
Mhm. That's not she wasn't using her head there among other I'm so
Okay.
sorry.
So when she was in foster care, she was abused regularly. And the feeling of hopelessness, like I'm a grandmother, but legally there's nothing I can do about it.
Mhm.
And then at 6 years old, she came to America for the very first time, landed at O'Hare, November 3rd, 2021. And I thought, okay, this is the perfect time for me to connect with my granddaughter.
Mhm.
No, the court had a plan of their own. DCFS had a plan of their own. Should I go into details about that?
Sure.
Well, so here I am at the airport, O'Hare Airport, and unbeknownst to me, my granddaughter's lawyer, Vanessa Favia, she used to be my granddaughter's lawyer when my granddaughter was a fetus.
Mm.
She also represented Heather Mack. And unbeknownst to me, she was already given guardianship a day before the plane landed. So I had no idea. So here it is. I am at the Cook County Probate Court at the Daly Center, um, trying to petition for guardianship when I finally, figured out or was told where she was in the system. See, the judge had changed my granddaughter's name.
Oh.
So it was hard for me to find her in the system. It took a full day. The FBI called me up one day and said, Miss Walker, you just want to let you know that, your daughter is at Cook County Court. I said, well, which courtroom? Like where? Oh, we don't know. We have nothing to do with that. That's all we know is she's at the Daly Center.
Mm.
So I finally was able to petition for guardianship. I filed what did I file? An appearance on November 3rd. And here I am, a petitioner, and guardianship was already established. I later learned that guardianship was a sting operation.
Mhm.
So here it is, my granddaughter, she was born a political pawn in a rag doll. Now she's in America, a political pawn in a rag doll.
Now I know you can't say her name on the air here. Um, so this Vanessa Favia, this lawyer now has guardianship.
Well, that's the thing. When I say political pawn in a rag doll, there were 5 petitioners. A couple of them never met my granddaughter, didn't even know what she looked like. Millionaire lawyers represented their client.
Huh.
So I sat there for 2 years in guardianship court, thinking I had a possibility or an opportunity to get guardianship and then adopt my granddaughter. but that wasn't the court's plan. I was never part of the court's plan. I sat there for 2 years and I watched each petitioner get in-person visitation, temporary custody, and 2 people got guardianship. So Vanessa Favia, the lawyer, got guardianship. And then later, Lisa Hellman in Lakewood, Colorado, gained guardianship.
How is this possible?
I got nothing. I got every once in a while video calls with my granddaughter. That's it. So Trump's friend, Diana Roque Ellis, gets in-person visitation with my granddaughter, and grandma gets nothing. Because money, power, privilege, and politics stole her.
This Diana Rook Alice, how often?
She used to be one of the Real Housewives, or was that sitcom or that?
Oh, of like how Hollywood, Real Housewives of Hollywood.
Yes. And she also at her home had a book signing party for Trump's wife who passed away.
Oh, okay. Ivanka, yes.
Yes. Well, yeah, I think, yeah, her Ivanka, yeah.
Mhm.
So it's been a nightmare. The trauma, I was bullied, I was railroaded,
Uh-huh.
I was denied, I was made fun of in court by the judge, by the lawyers. I was threatened repeatedly by the judge. Transcripts were altered. It all turned out that Heather Mack and her uncle, Bill Weiss, had a contract. It's called a Memorandum of Understanding, a MOU. And in that contract, it states that Heather Mack and the former foster mother, Osha Swatama, who was Australian but lived in Indonesia, the contract stated that they were to profit off of my granddaughter. It stated Tommy, my son Tommy, and no one in his family can have guardianship. And it stated no third party is to know about it. So I had no idea about this contract. And the court operated according to the contract. So it also states that, the therapists, the caseworkers were not to disclose any information. So throughout this entire guardianship case, the therapist would not communicate with me. The caseworker never reached out to me, never communicated with me. The guardian ad litem, there were 2 guardian ad litems. The first one was Peter Schmiedel, Judge Stephanie Miller's former boss, guardianship boss. The second one was Chicago Loyola University Law School Director Teresa Seco. She never even visited my home. They never allowed all of my pictures into the appellate court.
So essentially, your granddaughter has been trafficked.
Yes, she was working for the U.S. government because she was slung around so bad. She was this political pawn, this rag doll. The court, allowed the lawyer to get guardianship. They were following the money trail. Money. Okay. And then the guardian ad litem filled out, helped the former foster mother in Indonesia, Osha Swatama, helped her fill out the legal documents to get her into the US. And then they came up with this address for her to become a petitioner. And I looked up the address, and during court, I'm like, This is an Airbnb.
Oh,
So they changed their plan and said, well, we're gonna let Oshar take temporary custody. So at a hotel. So here it is. My granddaughter is no longer in school. She's laying up in a hotel because the former foster mother doesn't have a place to go. And so she stayed with the lawyer for 8 months. Then she stayed in a hotel with the former foster mother for 3 months. And then they decided to give my granddaughter to Lisa Hellman, who never met her, wanted nothing to do with her. They allowed her to establish a relationship. So they gave her temporary custody in Lakewood, Colorado. And I'm the only one in Illinois, and we're on Zoom. I have no computer skills, but we're on Zoom because everyone else lives everywhere else.
So this poor baby has been bounced around to several individuals.
Well, she was calling Vanessa Favia auntie, and Vanessa Favia's husband uncle, and now she calls Diana Roque Ellis, Trump's friend, Donald Trump's friend, auntie. You know, my granddaughter has night terrors. She can't sleep at night. Now she's sleeping in a basement with a 23-year-old man. She sleeps on a couch. She's in an open space. And she shares the basement with Lisa Hellman's 23-year-old man. Son. A 23-year-old. I think he may even be 24.
How did you find this out?
My granddaughter told me. She was describing her bedroom. She was like, Grandma, I finally got a bedroom. I said, great, I've been vouching for you. I said, so tell me about your bedroom. She goes, well, I'm in the basement and I sleep on the couch and all my toys are down there. And I said, okay. She goes, and I said, so you're in a general area, you're just in this big room? She says, yeah, and there's a curtain by the stairs, and there's a curtain where Lisa Hellman's son sleeps. He sleeps in a room on a bed without a door. So I motioned the court, and I'm like, my granddaughter deserves a bedroom, a window, a door, privacy. And I motioned the court, and they refused to remove my granddaughter from the basement because they're going by their plan. Grandparents don't have any rights. Grandparents don't have any say-so. If grandparents had rights, my granddaughter would have never been in prison. But because this is all about money, 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 going back to that memorandum of understanding, that contract between Heather Mack and her uncle, Bill Weiss. Now, Lisa Hellman, you know, her uncle is Bill Weiss. So that contract, it says that if Heather Mack and Oshar are to violate that contract, they would appear in probate court and chancery court. Excuse me. And that's exactly what happened. The guardianship court was probate court. The trust fund was chancery court. The chancery court helped Oshar into the U.S. all in their efforts to follow the money. Is the money more important than my granddaughter having an education, my granddaughter maintaining her relationship with her grandmother?
I found with these courts, they really don't care about the children's education either, is what I'm learning.
No, she missed school because she was working for the U.S. government. And now I'm trying to stop the adoption. I can't find one human being that will help me in this high profile case. Not one human being. Because everyone is afraid of losing their jobs. Politicians are involved. This is political.
Mm-hmm.
And my granddaughter is suffering tremendously. They have conditioned her to believe that grandma doesn't love you, grandma doesn't know you, grandma doesn't want to play Roblox with you.
Yeah, they're grooming her into parental alienation, which would be, in your case, grandparent alienation as well.
Exactly. There is so much corruption in the case. On my TikTok, which is at Grandma Kia 8716, I'm laying it out. I've got documents to prove what happened. I tell the story. There's so much. I can only give you little spurts, little snippets of the corruption because you can't wrap your hand around it.
No. So this poor child is staying with Lisa Hellman, who has temporary custody.
No, she has guardianship.
Okay.
They gave her temporary custody so that she can establish a relationship with my granddaughter while trial was still happening. And then after 6 months, they give her guardianship. Now, and then the one thing that's upsetting, another thing that's upsetting is that that contract was breached. So Heather Mack and Osha Shuatama breached the contract. There are movie deals on my granddaughter's life story. So they both breached the contract, and that's why this all happened in probate court. They breached it. And so when Heather was sentenced January 18th, 2024, when she was sentenced in federal court, the judge, Kennelly, I think his name is, he what's it called? He supported that contract that alienated grandma because the contract said Tommy and no one in his family can have guardianship. He supported that contract that alienated me. Mm-hmm. He supported it by awarding Bill Weiss $260-something thousand, and then $50,000 because Heather breached the contract. So when Bill Weiss spoke up in court, said his last words to Heather, it was mostly about money, that he wanted part of that money that she would be making off of movie deals. And the federal judge awarded it.
Wow.
And he wanted $50,000 because she breached the contract. The same contract that alienated me. A guardianship court was fraud. Mm-hmm. Buy it. Wrong.
What a disgrace. Well, this Heather is in prison, right? She's still in Indonesia prison.
Right. So in federal court, she was sentenced January 18, 2024, the same day that the federal judge awarded Bill Weiss this money. And can I mention one other thing that's so important? So June 22nd, 2022, in the middle of court, in the middle of trial, I get this email from Teresa Seco. And in the email, it said, Kia, I'm very concerned about Stella. We don't know where she is, where she's staying, or if she's ever coming back. So I called Oak Park, Illinois Police Department on a federal kidnapping. They were fraud. They were supporting millionaire lawyers in the court. I found out later that my granddaughter was in California living with Lisa Liu, who is now Lisa Brennan because she married Peter Brennan, Hulu TV. My granddaughter was in California in the middle of a huge high-profile guardianship case. She was living in California with Lisa Brennan and Peter Brennan for their movie, film, and documentaries. And that came up in court. I've got emails and money exchanges. So when Heather was in prison in Indonesia, still at the time, they had a bank account for Heather Mack while she was in prison. They were pouring in thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to Heather and Osha Schwartama, the former foster mother, thousands to her, her husband, her ex-husband, and the two nannies that took care of my granddaughter. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. That allowed Heather to be out and about. Remember when she said she wanted to go to the beach? Well, that's where you could find her.
So she's allowed to leave prison and just go to the beach.
Yeah, yes. On my TikTok, I posted videos of her being at fancy restaurants, being at the dentist, getting her teeth done, worked on, her 6-month checkups, at the beach, at the playground with my granddaughter. Osha would pick her up from the prison and they would just be out and about. Manicures, pedicures.
Wow.
And Hulu TV supported them. Even when my granddaughter came to America, Hulu TV was supporting them. There was no reason for me to try to do a GoFundMe. How am I going to go against billionaire companies?
Oh.
I've got text messages from Peter Brennan, from Lisa Brennan. I've got some of the money exchanges that they sent to Indonesia. Of course, the court didn't give me everything,
right?
I'm just grandma. But during Osha Schwartama's deposition, it was page after page after page of all these money exchanges. Lisa Brennan, Peter Brennan. Lisa Brennan, Peter Brennan. Money, 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 money. I was disadvantaged in so many ways. The court bullied me and railroaded me. I mean, tremendous stress they caused.
Oh, yes.
Tremendous. It was a total mind. I don't know if I can say the F word.
Oh, you're allowed. Yeah,
it was a total mind fuck.
Right. It always is. It's intentional infliction of emotional abuse.
Yeah.
Duress. Yeah, that's intentional infliction of emotional distress. That's a tort.
Oh yeah. And I've got proof. And the Judiciary Board told me that I could give him recordings on corruption. Well, a year later, he says, I don't remember telling you that.
Of course.
I don't remember telling you that. So all this time, I'm recording the corruption. Carpals, who support, is a non-for-profit organization who helps with legal. They were corrupt. They were saying that I was abusive or something, and I'm like when? Like
yeah, because you really have had no physical contact with this granddaughter of yours, other than the week in the hospital.
Right, but as you can see all the photos, I was in constant contact with my granddaughter. My granddaughter knows me, loves me. But Carpos was saying that I was abusive to someone at the I don't know. They backpedaled when I said I was abusive. When I said I recorded all my calls with you, and then they backpedaled and said, "Oh, that's the supervisor said, oh well, is that's not in your record, your case file here that you were abusive." So they backpedaled when I told them that I recorded all of my conversations. So how was I abusive?
Right. So
You
where,
know, I'm
go ahead.
sorry.
You go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm getting hyped up, because I haven't.
Well, it's very, it must make your blood boil. Where are you at now with all of this?
I have not given up on my granddaughter. I'm at like 540 something followers. I really need people to support me by following me, reposting and sharing my videos, because man, I've got so much to say. I am my granddaughter's voice. I am my granddaughter's voice. I am her only real voice.
Definitely. I've always said to other guests that have been on, sometimes, advocacy chooses you, whether, you want to or not. How can people reach you if they have any questions?
TikTok.
Okay. And that's at Grandma Kia 8716.
Exactly. Grandma KIA 8716. Yeah, because my granddaughter is about to be adopted by
Oh,
Lisa Hellman. So what an injustice.
wow.
The US government, I thought Indonesia was horrifying. The US
Right.
government was no better.
Is this Lisa Hellman going to let you speak with your granddaughter?
Oh, that's just a whole nother story that you don't even have time with. She has been emotionally and mentally abusive.
Oh,
One time I was on a video call with my granddaughter and she was like, "Tell your grandmother she doesn't know you. Tell her right now, Stella. She doesn't know you. Your grandmother is a liar. Tell her right now.
oh
Tell Kia
no.
she is a liar."
That's child psychological abuse.
Yes. And now she has my granddaughter in family therapy, where she definitely has control. My granddaughter, she has to hold everything in, because Lisa Hellman is right there.
I'm so sorry this is happening to you.
Be sorry for my granddaughter.
Oh, well, her too. Exactly. Most definitely. I thank you for speaking out and having the courage to do so. So if there's any advice you can give anyone, what would it be?
Support, children, and grandparents and parents in their effort to bring justice. Don't give up. Someone said to me, "Well, you've been threatened. Like, why are you still talking if you've been threatened? People are threatening your life." And then I thought about Nancy Schaefer.
No.
And I thought, there's nothing I could, there's nothing I could say, but I'm a grandma. So yes, I've been threatened. Yes, I'm still talking. I don't know how to explain it. Do I want to die because I'm speaking up about truth? No. But I'm a grandma.
Oh, it's so sad, so sad. But I'm honored to have you on, and I'd like to have you back on for any updates too as well
I
in the
would
future.
appreciate that.
Definitely. Well, hey,
Thank you so much for giving me my voice.
oh, definitely. But don't jump off, okay?
Okay.
Slam the Gavel is a podcast to help the public understand what really goes on in these family courtrooms. I am your host, Marianne Petrie, author of Dismantling Family Court Corruption, Why Taking the Kids Was Not Enough, and Cry Out for Justice, Poems of Truth, and Raised by These Wolves, How Family and Federal Courts Are Failing Our Children. You can find me on Spotify, YouTube, Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, Apple iTunes, other platforms I'm not aware of. And feel free to buy me a coffee to help support this podcast. And you can find that link in the podcast notes. Thank you, Grandma Kia Walker. Thank you so very much for speaking out.
Welcome.